Oh, here we are again now, and it's like no time has passed. Gazing out upon the sunset as it sinks into the night. Many times it seemed as though a given day might be our last. Face to face with certain death, it's somehow coming out alright. I don't think that we have any cause to lament, but there's quite a lot of thrilling intent, thrilling intent, thrilling intent, thrilling intent.
Time has passed in the country of Tannhauser. As the dust settled from the tower, so did the people back into the land. All those disregarded places now buried under a light snowfall of miserable dust that is made out of, as people now properly understand it, the goo of angels begin to repopulate and restructure their besieged country. The landscape slowly starts to return to what it was before. However, the long scar that the tower burned into the land will remain forever. Furthermore, the area around the grand capital will remain something of a desert, all the remnants of that tower spreading throughout the area. It's unclear exactly what the future of Tannhauser holds, but around the outsides, the periphery, and in the wooded, more secluded areas, life is beginning to thrive once again, without that gigantic shadow hanging over them. Mercy, it's been a week. It's been a week since everyone started staying at your house, and everything has remained calm, or... Let me rephrase. Mercy, it's been a week. Things have been divisive, particularly with the construction of Granola's new body. Big Hand repeatedly establishes its interests throughout the house, and different discussions on ab organization and optimum bicep vectors continue to come up night after night. It has been a raucous time. You exit the front door of your house and find your husband tending the garden with an absent-minded stare. You can tell this look. This is the look that Kieran and Ian have been speaking to him. This is the look of a man who is trying to escape into his flowers.
Yeah, Mercy pops it out. Oh, there you are. I'd wondered where you'd wandered off to.
You go, oh, there you are, and he hears the creak first, and he turns around with the water can, and he lets out a like, ah! and then he relaxes, like, oh, thank goodness, it's only you. It is only you, right? He looks into the darkness behind you, eyebrow twitching.
Mercy, actually a little scared, looks over her shoulder. God, I hope so. Otherwise, we might have to put some bells on our guests.
You look back around and you see Inian and Kier retreating back into the darkness, eyes catching the light like feral cats.
Go, shoo! My God. And I won't have this discussion again. She only gets 6 for the 6-pack, no 8. No one is superior.
What about a baker's 6-pack?
What does that mean?
Walk, 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 walk. Slam!
Huh.
Well, it's good to see you. Specifically, I'm not used to, obviously, I'm not used to, guests. I'm used to just being us and the, two darlings. The house is a little more lively than, well, I've ever seen it.
Right. I'm so sorry about that, dear. I should have double-checked with you beforehand.
I considered myself up to it. I was used to working with the army, working in the royal capital. I figured, how bad or how loud could people be? I've learned how loud. That loud. He points over at the window, which is shaking slightly as you hear yelling indoors.
Right. I think a big thing is that with the military, there was a little bit of structure and authority. Respect was present. And I say all of these things and it sounds so backhanded, but like, okay, first it is a little true, but I must admit, I do find this to be rather intriguing for a time.
Intriguing? His eyebrow cocks up.
Well, I mean, it's just different from the usual. I mean, the Goobers are pretty well behaved, as it were. It's like having, you know, I guess real children. But no, that sounds wrong. I mean, our kids, what I mean is like our kids are so well behaved. I mean, they've been learning some nasty things as of recently. Did you know that Harlock tried to teach them swears?
I did discover the swear bag, yes.
It's a tangible object?
As far as I can tell, they hide it too quickly for me to properly parse it. All I know is it is the size of, he like looks around and he points at like a bag of fertilizer over there. It is huge.
Heavens, it's enormous.
Yes, I have no idea how they're hiding it or how quickly they are, how they've achieved the speed at which they managed to secret it away. But, yes, no, it's somewhere out there. If you discover the swear bag, burn it immediately.
Oh, you don't have to tell me. Are you kidding? Oh.
Though I am kind of curious she's from a foreign country, and I kind of wonder what things are like over there. But he puts up his hands. No, I don't entirely disagree. We made this little retreat far away from the capital just to make sure that, well, we'd have our own little section of privacy to make sure that we were, at least at one point in our lives, unbotherable. But, well, it's sort of become our fortress here. It became our holdout for the end of the world, and, the world didn't end. So, seeing it with the liveliness that surpasses even the capital is nice in its own way. He sort of chuckles. I was so used to this place feeling like a dead land. Life is different, if exhausting.
Boy, that's really poetic and nice, and it makes me feel weird what I'm gonna ask you, and one of the reasons I was trying to track you down.
He turns over.
So, I've been kind of thinking, and I want you to be honest with me. So, if you disagree, that's fine, we won't do it. I feel like it's time for us to move on from Tannhauser. You know, we've been here our whole lives, and we stopped a cataclysm, put it mildly, and likely the people will want us to be involved in whatever new form of government will follow. And if you think it's chaotic now, get ready for that. With an immense amount of responsibility that, I'll be honest, I don't really want.
Oh, he goes quiet, and you can tell, for most people, Faria's expressions are unreadable, a rock wall, but you have gotten used to his micro-expressions, the vaguest shift in musculature of the face that indicates a favorable or unfavorable response. But you know one core thing about him. If you start saying something, he will listen to the very end with 100% of his rapt attention. And you watched his expression at first come with raw incredulousness and confusion, and then as you went on, he relaxed visibly, understood where you were coming from, but you still felt the response that you were going to get was a pretty firm no, and then you brought up the thing that absolutely hammered the nail in for him. People are going to want us to participate in the new government, and you are so exceptionally correct. You just watch the corner of his mouth twitch open and hang there slightly, where he's like, uh-oh, she's right. He closes his eyes and the entirety of what you said does sort of like ring out through his head, and he nods a little bit. We have spent our entire lives here, and to some extent, the country that we lived in no longer exists. This is me waxing poetic, potentially, but, I think if we hung out here, if we remained here, we would feel like ghosts of a bygone era. I suppose I only see two real choices for us. One, he gestures over to his house. We fortify the area around, grow a great big bramble patch, and become the strange hermits that live in the middle of the woods. Or two, we try again somewhere else. He like leans in. I hate that one is my first impulse and instinct to simply retreat and vanish away from the world, but I need to realize something. That isn't exactly good for our kids. And he reaches over and he takes both of your hands. I don't think it's good for you either.
Oh, dear. I won't lie, the first one does sound rather enticing. It sounds so pleasant. Just being ourselves, doing what we want, and yes, it would certainly be peaceful, but I feel like the stagnation would be rather brutal on us. And I mean this for you as well. Just think for a moment. If we did become the hermits here, you would run out of things to do. You'd run out of things to study and examine and build and create. You would just be here. I mean, sure, there's probably going to be more things I'll need help with. I mean, I'm still melting, for God's sake. But that's still years out, hopefully. But you even said it yourself when talking about Harlock. She's from a foreign land and you're curious about it. Well, why ask her when you can just see it yourself?
Ooh.
I didn't want to talk to you anyway.
I mean, Harlock, get out of the bush.
Shoot.
I need a spray bottle.
All right. You do have the right of it. I just have to ask. I have to ask the difficult question then. And I have to rely on your experience.
Uh-oh.
Where to then?
Oh, that's really easy. So, I've been thinking about this for a little bit, and after we talked with, Gregor, Marcus, and Harlock, they'd mentioned the 9 shrines and dines, something of the sort. It sounds like it's a nice little area. It's a nice place to just relax. A lot of spirits there, apparently, which...
Spirits?
Yes.
Fascinating. He stops and he's like, spirits, I've read about them, but I've never seen one directly. His eyes scan over to the house. Also, technically speaking, they do owe us an immense amount.
Oh, I hadn't even thought of, guilt tripping, but if that's a path you want to go, I won't participate, but I know it wouldn't stop you, and I love you for it.
I just, considering it this way, we have extended the gratitude of our home to them for quite some time. I believe giving us some potential footing, especially if we're exploring a new world out there, is the very least that they can do. He's straightening himself up and straightening his lab coat out.
I hadn't really thought of it that way, but yeah. And besides, here's the other thing, dear. If we do move over there and you want to have your own privacy, that's not a problem. We just find a home that's a little further off the beaten path, but not too far away to prevent the children from meeting new people, because I thought about it more. Our kids do not have friends. That sucks.
he considers this. He sees the look of concern on your face, and he enters his scientist mode visibly, and he his lips purse, and he goes, a world where our I see. Tannhauser, as it is right now, can't give us what we need and what our kids need simultaneously. Our children will always be our children. Even if we go full recluse, they will never gain friends necessarily. If we go to the world at large, we can see a section of this great globe where no one knows us.
Yeah. We'll just be nobodies. No longer a well-renowned scientist who aided with... I mean, you did help with celestial silver, right?
Yes. He nods.
Yeah.
We've discovered so many secrets of the universe over the last few weeks, I have to say.
Right, and as a government that's currently in shambles is trying to rebuild itself in power, if they were to learn that you had this knowledge as well and happened to be married to a military professional?
Yes, a military professional. He takes a hand, cups it under his chin, and he's like, a military professional, and this will be, of course, harder to hide, who is resplendently beautiful and peerlessly strong, who could...
Oh my gosh, stop it.
Likely. He continues rhapsodizing, smiling a little bit. You can tell you've already won Faria over, and he's just going through the motions of... I have to thoroughly explain my motivations, start to finish, so that everyone knows that I comprehend. I am very smart.
Good man.
Who, well, any country the world over would be exceptionally happy to have. One issue to the other, I do believe you quite literally stopped an apocalypse. I'm sure there are other countries that have other similar apocalypses, but this country's does not need to be ours for the rest of time. You're right.
And here's the big thing. I think it'd be nice to just check it out, and if we like it, great, we'll stay around. And if it's not really gelling with us, then we'll move somewhere else. And who knows, maybe we'll realize that we're homesick for Tannhauser and we can come on back.
He looks at the, house. All right. One condition.
Sure, anything.
He takes a step forward and starts to, trace something in the ground. Help me drive this around the entirety of the property. I'm going to lock this place in time, so should we ever wish to come back, we literally can. The door will always be open to us.
What? Lock it in time?
Yes. He moves around.
Like literally?
He nods. One of our guests has provided me with some rather unique insight on how to make a mansion particularly lodged forever in one eternal state. It was fascinating. I'm going to try to do what she did, but with less fire.
Did Harlock give him the time slime?
He beams over at you and is like... This way, our memories of Tannhauser will last forever. He carves another symbol in the ground, while we are free to, if we so wish, leave them behind for good.
Oh. All right. So is it just a line? Like I don't need to do any fancy runes or anything?
Oh, yes. No, I need you to draw the line because, my hands get tired fast.
Oh. Dear, don't you fret. I'll take care of this. And also, we're probably going to need to bring some things with us. I mean, your lab. You probably want to bring your...
Oh my god, I jumped to the end. Again, always. Don't complete that line. We still have guests inside we do not wish to freeze. He runs over. He hops up and he kisses you on the cheek. He's like, I'll get to work immediately. I'm looking forward to seeing the world, I think. He opens the door and walks inside.
Oh. Well, that went really smoothly. I thought that was going to be quite the discussion. Oh. Good job, me.
You hear a light applause from one of the windows nearby.
You son of a...
You run inside and immediately hear something scurry again, deeper into the house. You realize, should you go where you're planning on going, this is what your future holds.